see you again. So let's talk about aspects between Sun and Pluto in synastry. I believe I've covered the conjunction quite some time ago. So let's talk about the square and the opposition today, which both function very similarly to each other. So when we're talking about Sun, Pluto in synastry, we're really looking at how the Sun person's identity, vitality, of often physical strength, their idea of themselves, the projection of their identity, how is that affected and changed by the Pluto person? And when we're looking at the hard aspects, the conjunction, the square, the minor hard aspects, like this video would also apply to the 45-degree semi-square, the 135-degree sesquiquadrate, because those are all hard aspects. And the minor hard aspects are not necessarily easier hard aspects to deal with. They just are functioning in that difficult way, but it's not so acute that you must bring your attention to it earlier on, but it is present. So it's more like a chronic underlying yet difficult, tense, often confrontational condition within the relationship or a personality if it's in a natal chart. So it's things that we need to fix, but we're not fixing yet. And so they persist within a relationship, those minor hard aspects. So when we're looking at the square or the opposition, both of them are very much describing how the solar power of the Sun person is changed, mutated, affected by the Pluto person, because Pluto is where we're driven to change. In synastry, it's how we change the people around us, how we change our partners, the people that we're in relationship with. And that can be very unconscious on our part as the Pluto person. Pluto functions often outside of our conscious intention. And so it has a very underhanded role in synastry and in how we relate to other people. It can be how we stress people in relationships that we're with, and it's unrealized to us. How we pressure or control or leverage our own power within a relationship, and it can often be unknown or unconscious to us. So it's how we assure ourselves, because Pluto is insurance. And oftentimes we're achieving insurance within relationships through unhealthy or unconscious. And often we're ensuring our own security. We're engaging in that act of insurance in a relationship by securing power, control, leverage in ways that are just unknown to us. So in synastry, the Sun and Pluto have a very interesting dance that they do, because the Sun is what is very conscious to us, how we consciously think ourselves up and project ourselves out into the world. It's very much the function of Mars and the Sun, the fire planets. Jupiter is more of that social projection. So Pluto has this power. So as the Pluto person, we can change the Sun person in ways that may be unknown to us as the Pluto person and vaguely known to the Sun person. The Sun person with the square or the opposition, oftentimes with the conjunction and the minor hard aspects, the 45, 135-degree angle, will often feel very uneasy in the presence of the Pluto person. They still may be drawn in, especially with the conjunction. With the square or the opposition, we are more trepidatious about involvement with the Pluto person, particularly with the square. We can feel very uneasy or suspicious of the Pluto person's intentions because we sense that we will be changed, that we will be altered in some way. And that can be a threat to the identity. It's a threat to the idea of me. So with the difficult aspects, we very much resist the input, the pressure, the stress that the Pluto person is emitting as the Sun person, because we want to maintain that idea, that image, that identity, the way we think ourselves up. But the Pluto person is going to impact that, and they're going to impact it in either ways that we appreciate and invite with the easy aspects, or ways that we resist and fear and often fight against. But we're going to be impacted and changed and transformed anyway with the difficult aspects between the Sun and Pluto. So with the square or the opposition, the change often comes through negative involvement with each other, through the Sun person feeling very pressured by the Pluto person to either give up some of their power, to change who they are, to limit their expression. And the Pluto person's largely unaware of this, particularly with the opposition. We can react to the Sun person like, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't understand why you're accusing me of having some say over what you say or what you should be. For the Pluto person, it's not an overtly controlling relationship. With the square, there is more of an intentional moving in on the Sun person's identity and really wanting to have some kind of impact, some influence on that. And that doesn't mean that we will engage in mindless, self-controlling, vampire kind of techniques, because not all of us have the same degree of Pluto issues. If you have, especially Pluto hard aspects to your inner planets, but any aspects from Pluto to inner planets, but particularly the hard aspects in your own natal chart, and then we're engaged in this kind of dynamic in a relationship, it is much more likely that we're going to get those controlling themes coming out in the more extreme between the two of us. But a lot of us, especially after we've been through our midlife years, our Pluto years, that midlife transformation, we do have a better sense of ourselves. It is easier to know how we're functioning in relationships, to realize what we're doing and the impact that we are having. How we will engage with each other will be informed by who we are, what we've been through, how well we know ourselves, and how much we are comfortable with directing our own lives and not insuring ourselves through relationships. So the deeper the unconscious need, the more we are going to try to have some kind of plutonic influence or control or power over the Sun person. We do view the Pluto person as excessively dominating with the opposition. And this could be particularly difficult between parent and child if we have these difficult aspects and the Sun person happens to be the child. Because we can feel very squashed or controlled, or like we're always fighting for that personal expression, and that the parent is an enemy of that. And in romantic relationships, we can very much interpret the Pluto person as wanting to mold us or have us be the way that they need us to be, particularly if the Pluto person has Pluto issues or is acting from an unconscious need, trying to ensure themselves. It can be a very negative outcome for the Sun person. They can really feel like the part of themselves have been given away or forcibly taken or changed, altered in a way that they did not want. So there's an excessive resentment that can build with the difficult aspects between Sun Pluto. Resentment is very, very difficult to get out of a relationship once it gets into it. Disgust and resentment are very, very difficult to excise once they have been introduced. So Sun Pluto stuff, it often will result in the two people going their separate ways. Not all the time. Some people can very much manage these kinds of interactions, but not everybody, particularly if we are lacking in self-knowledge, or if we have identity issues in the first place as the Sun person and Pluto issues as the Pluto person. That will increase the likelihood, the kind of stress and pressure that we experience with each other is not going to be conducive to a long-term relationship. But some people can manage themselves better than others, and so we can see some success with these aspects. They are going to land a lot of people up in the marriage counselor's office, and that is often where we're going to be gaining the tools with which to manage these things, or achieving some of the lack of self-knowing that can contribute to the extremes of relating to each other when we have the square, the opposition, or the conjunction, which can also be very difficult. So we are learning to allow each other to be as we are, and the Pluto person is going to have to find ways of ensuring their own safety and security outside of having an inappropriate influence over the Sun person, or gaining some kind of control that is in service to security. So the types of changes that the Pluto person is going to instigate are basically seen as unappreciated, threatening, and something that we often want to back away from. Although at the same time, if we have Pluto in our own chart, Pluto that we're dealing with our own nature as a Sun person, we can be magnetized towards that Pluto influence, that idea of irresistible change. So these can be very impactful aspects to have. Hope you found that helpful. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com, Facebook, and Instagram. I am back on Patreon and am posting some very awesome content over there. Full-length course videos. You never know what you're going to get, but they are interesting, grabby, and I will be doing a live on Patreon as well. So if you haven't been able to get into my website to join the subscriber option, because that's been capped for a long time, join me on Patreon, because you get a lot of those same perks. You don't get access to all of my courses live, but there's a lot of good stuff going on over there. And you'll also have access to my farm and garden blog as well. So join me over there, and I will see you guys very soon.